Crime 101 has a stacked cast. Chris Hemsworth, Halle Berry, Barry Keoghan, and Mark Ruffalo. And it comes in on the tomato meter at a high 85%. Set against the sun-bleached grit of LA, Crime 101 weaves a tale of an elusive dual thief played by Chris Hemsworth. And it's kind of like in vein of like Heat. It felt very much like a Michael Mann movie, but know this going in. It is a slow burn. It's not something that's got a lot of action in this. So if you saw the trailers for this and you thought that maybe it was going to be kind of like a high octane actioner getaway kind of thing, brace yourself. Brace yourself. It's not what the trailers made it out to be. Sort of like that movie Drive. You know how we thought that was going to be like a big heist thriller? This one's more of like a slow burn. And when I say it feels like Heat, like a Michael Mann movie, it does feel like Heat because there's certain aspects where, he's got a girlfriend and stuff and you don't know how he's going to tell her that kind of stuff. It's got like notes of that. And, well, actually, just like them driving around in the city and stuff like that, the director of this movie uses that kind of symbolism of the highways and the expressways there in LA to cut in between to have like barriers between scenes and let you digest what you just saw. So it's got a really good cast. Barry Keoghan is in there. He's kind of like cutting in between Chris Hemsworth and the cop that's after him, played by Mark Ruffalo. And then there's this insurance lady played by Halle Berry. And you're like, okay, how are they all going to meet up? And it slowly sets them up to come to this peak. And it's thrilling. It's engaging. I found myself very pleasantly surprised by this. So I'm not shocked when I come out and I see this 85%. I'm like, it was a good movie. It is a really good movie. Doesn't have any drawbacks right off the bat, can I give to you. And it's got a bit of a long runtime, 2:19. And if you're not into a slower type paced movie, then this may be an issue for you. But it's just really engaging throughout because you want to see like Barry Keoghan's kind of like a competitor, and you know that they're gonna end up facing off towards the end, and are they gonna get busted by Mark Ruffalo, and how is Halle Berry fitting in all to this? And it's just like, okay, I'm invested. This Bart Layton director put together a pretty good cast to fill us out. Tate Donovan is in this, Corey Hawkins, and Nick Nolte plays Money. It's good to see Nolte because he's getting up there. You wonder how many more of these projects he can endure, but it was cool to see him in there. And it was a good overall experience coming out of the theater. So, with that being said, let's go over to my score sheet and start filling in some numbers for Crime 101. Now, if you don't know how this works, acting, directing, and story out of a possible 2 points each, cinematography and scores out of a possible 1 point. And is there anything in here that's like Oscar worthy? No. But there's an ensemble factor in here where they just bounce off of each other, and it doesn't go down the way that you think that it would all the time. Where they're setting things up, and you're like, okay, I know where this is going. I know where this, but actually, they do subvert expectations in a good way, and I think that's going to resonate with people. I think that's why it's got such a high score. Directing, the technical aspects is well framed, and they, as I said, they do a lot of good B-roll stuff with showing the city of LA. They try to make you feel like LA is another character in this movie, and I think that's pulled off. And that's what I mean by it feeling like a Michael Mann movie, where it's like, okay, I can see where the inspiration is for the technical aspects of this film. Now, when it comes to the execution of the story, I think it's handled fairly well. It does have some long beats in here, and maybe a few dangling threads that could have been woven up, but I just found myself, okay, I just like this mix. I like the mix of the actors. I like the mix of the scenario playing out, and I want to see where it goes. So I enjoyed the pacing of the story very much, and the story itself, as I said, it felt like a little bit like Drive mixed with Heat. There you go. Uh, that's a good comparison because it's about a guy who does his job very well, but he doesn't want to go beyond the scope of that, right? And then when he starts to get pulled in by other gangsters and stuff, like from Keoghan and stuff, it's like, okay, he's got to get his hands dirtier than he would want to, and he's got to try to find a balance in there. And you find yourself rooting for Chris Hemsworth. There's nothing in here that is like giving him the chance to shine as an actor. Like, there's some good stuff in here, but yeah, for what it was, everybody seemed to serve their roles well. And if you were to say that some parts of it were cardboard, I could understand that as well. Like the detective stuff felt like, okay, he's the only one that seems to understand this criminal, this thief, and nobody else believes him. Okay, because he saw that the inspirations for this, where they were coming from, like as I said, Michael Mann movies, and then a lot of it was like Thomas Crown Affair as well, because they even go and mention Steve McQueen movies in this, so you could tell where the inspirations were coming from, and then they peppered in those inspirations throughout the movie. So I felt like the story did that well. Cinematography, it's fairly well done. The car chases and stuff like that, you can tell what's going on. It's not choppy. It's not cut in a way that you're just like, oh, I can't really see what's going on. And it's just okay. Score, serviceable. So we're sitting at a 6 out of 10 for Crime 101. And I do reserve the right to come back and bump up some of those numbers. But let's go back to the tomato meter here and see if we can start to figure out what some of the critics and audiences are saying that bumped it up to an 85. Because I'm definitely curious. Daily Telegraph, 4 out of 5. You may leave the feeling that crime pays if you're considerate about it, not if you're not. Of course, it doesn't manage the oceanic depth and tragic scope of Heat. What could? Yeah, well, because Heat had 3 hours to pull out their story, right? But it's grittily rewarding, and it is. It is rewarding. The stories, all the characters' arcs come to a close, and all those characters get a moment to shine, closing off their arcs. So maybe I will boost up acting. Maybe I will. Uh, Mark Kermode said that they really enjoyed it. Audience reviews. We're seeing, given the cast and chemistry between them, but overly long. So there, that goes to that runtime that I was talking about. This film was nonstop awesome. Great film, and it was. And even with like Nick Nolte coming in for a few scenes, he's got that. He's still able to emote enough, and he's charismatic enough that you're dialed into what he's doing, and that's a testament of a good actor. But somebody who didn't like it, Heather A. It was slow, not enough action, and development of characters to care at the end. So that's what I'm saying about not enough action. And if you watch the trailers made you think that it was going to be this high octane crime thriller, and it's really not. So that's why I'm trying to temper your expectations here a little bit. But let's go and take a look at more of the critics. Jeremy John says it is Heat light, absolutely, but he enjoyed it. So again, everybody's seeing that comparison here, right? New York Times, like lovingly warmed leftovers, it has its satisfactions, a charismatic cast, evocative Los Angeles locations work, the sort of granular details on a diamond currying, and insurance valuation that might give impressionable viewers ideas. Well, I don't know about that, but I gotta say that it's definitely an attractive movie to watch. I mean, Hemsworth and Halle Berry when she walks onto the set and scene, you're just like timeless beauty. She gets a few moments in this to like really shine, and it's totally worthwhile. I say. So with that being said, let's go back to the score sheet for Crime 101 and see where we land. Watchability factors out of a possible 2 points, and if you like the trailers, then I would say go see this. If you like the cast, you like this kind of genre. Like it was just on the cusp of being like a neo noir, and maybe somebody could say that this was like a noir because it's got that feeling to it. And this is something that I would totally go back and revisit. So that's sitting at 7.5. And now that I think about it, about the acting, because I said I was going to come back to it. I'm going to bump that up to a full 2 points as well. So that's sitting at an 8 out of 10 right now for Crime 101, and I think I feel really good about that. It's worth seeing this weekend, guys, or online. Um, Check it out, because I don't think you will be let down by this movie. Just be aware that it's slow, and it's something that builds up to the big climax at the end by setting up all these characters, and it does a really good job of doing that. So, with that being said, let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. And if you like this kind of thing, we just reviewed Wuthering Heights, another romantic, saucy movie with Jacob Elordi and Margot Robbie. Let me know what you thought about these movies in the comments below, and we will talk about it. You're watching Mirror Domains.